Hello, this video shows the eLA how to lodge a plagiarism incident. These are the key steps you need to follow when deciding whether it's an incident of plagiarism or it's more poor academic practice. So the first thing you need to do is review the assessment and the Turnitin originality report. Make a decision if it's poor academic practice or plagiarism, and then you'll need to stop marking and mute the student's grade. Where you think it might be poor academic practice, it's important to consult with your unit coordinator to decide on a best course of action for the student. You then go ahead and mark the assignment, give educative and constructive feedback, and then unmute the grade. If it's plagiarism that's been detected though, you'll need to log into the eLA portal to lodge an incident. Enter the required details in each of the fields highlighted, decide on a level based on the plagiarism matrix, provide sufficient information for your unit coordinator to enable them to make a final decision, and then submit the case. An email then will be triggered to your unit coordinator advising them to take the next steps. This is now the process you'll need to follow in the eLA portal. So once you've logged in, click on the Plagiarism Incident tab. From there you'll need to type in the student's ID number to locate the student. The student's name will then be populated and the list of units in the drop-down box will indicate the units that the student is in. In this case the student is only in one unit. So click on that. And once you've done that, the assessments in that unit will be populated. So in this case the plagiarism concern is based on the Assignment 1 presentation. Type in when the assignment was due. The assessment weight will automatically be populated in. Type in the word count and the percentage of similarity. You'll then need to determine the type of misconduct. In this case, it looks like plagiarism, and in this field you'll need to type in the concern that you have. So what's your allegation? In this case, it looks like the student's copied from another student's work from a previous attempt. So you'll then need to submit that. You'll then be asked, do you really want to create an incident? And you'll say yes. If you don't, it won't be lodged with the unit coordinator. So click on OK. You'll then be able to see the student's plagiarism history, and you can see from this history, it doesn't actually list the units, but the student has a previous history where they've had a level 0 and a level 2, and so you need to consider what level, based on this plagiarism information, what decision it will be. So copying from another student's work is definitely intentional plagiarism. They've already had a level 2 plagiarism incident, so this could potentially be a level 2 again. You can also click on the plagiarism guidelines, where you would log in to the Swinburne Wiki at the university, which gives you the plagiarism matrix. So you can see from this matrix, gives you some examples of what's poor academic practice at level 0 and then how it might be managed, and the same for level 1 and for level 2. So based on reading that, you then make your decision. So in this case, I'd suggest it's a level 2, and the supporting information. So what you have the TII report that matches with another student's work, and you have a direct link to their video from YouTube, which you would need to include the actual link. So then you'll submit that case. So now that has been recorded and an email will now go to the unit coordinator. So just to go through the 3 types of academic misconduct, who the decision maker is, and some of the possible outcomes. So at level 0 for poor academic practice, the issue might have been that there's no reference list, or it's poor paraphrasing, or the in-text citations don't match the end of text reference list. The possible outcomes: students are given an opportunity to resubmit, or there may be no action, you're just going to give them educative feedback, or there might be a slight reduction in marks, but this can only be done if the criterion is listed in the marking rubric. For level 1 and 2, the decision maker is the authorised officer, whereas level 1, the decision maker is the unit coordinator. So this is more intentional plagiarism, where students might be copying from other students' work, they might be purchasing their assignments, or making deliberate attempts to deceive the marker. And you can see the outcomes for these. So for level 1, they can be given an opportunity to resubmit up to 50%. If it's unintentional plagiarism, you may not mark some of the plagiarised sections, or they just get a formal reprimand. But at level 2, we can go as far as 0 for the assignment, 0 for the unit, and possibly suspension or expulsion. Once the unit coordinator or authorised officer has made a decision, the students will be sent an email. So if it's a level 1, they get the suspected academic misconduct email. If it's been lodged as a level 1 or 2, the unit coordinator sends a warning email that it's now in the hands of the authorised officer to make a final decision, and then the authorised officer will send a final outcome letter. This is an example of the level 0 educative email. So in the email, it inserted in this case, the outcome was to resubmit for up to full marks, and it says that the student has 5 working days to submit, but they must submit it to the extra submission point. It also gives them some information on the 4 core elements that's taken into account when we do the marking, and also how they can improve their academic writing for next time. If it was a level 1 or 2 incident, this is the email that the student will get. So there's populated information, in particular in this case where the student may have copied, in this case from a Course Hero assessment, and it gives the information about the unit and what's happened previously. And in this case it says that there's no action required because the authorised officer will now make the final decision. The authorised officer will then make a final decision and send an email to the student. So you can see it's quite a formal email, and it indicates that the student has potentially plagiarised before. It then explains the details of what's happened. In this case, in this letter, it was an 89% similarity with other work, and in this case, the outcome receiving a fail for the assessment, and your mark will be 0. So the key support people available to you as an ELA in managing any aspect of academic misconduct is the first person is your unit coordinator. They'll work very closely with the lead unit coordinator. We also have Gillian, who's the Education Integrity Coordinator, and myself, Director of Learning, and the Authorised Officer. Together, Gillian and myself manage the Authorised Officer cases and are available for any queries that you may have. There's also information on the ELA portal and the student portal that you can direct students to. And if you want to contact Gillian and myself, please use our Director of Learning email address, because that gives you a direct link to the 2 of us, and we both check those emails.